Hello and welcome to the news show with me, Liam Cahill, and Simon von Bromley. Simon is standing in for Tom, who is probably busy crashing a mountain bike. Whoa! In this month's show, we are asking, are the latest road bike features just gimmicks? Or do we really need them?
We also have some of the lightest carbon disc brake wheels we've ever seen, and we'll be looking at a few curious cases of products we're yet to see in 2023.
Oh, and there's more debate on white shorts.
So the recent launch of Canyon's new Endurace was a pretty standard affair. It's a nice bike that rides well and comes at a decent price, but Canyon included a feature that not everyone has been so kind about.
No, the top tube has a little storage compartment. The problem is that it's quite small. Top tubes are quite small after all, and the lid looks like it comes off an old Game Boy.
I'm sure the Game Boy reference might go over the head of some of our younger viewers, but basically it looks like you're going to open up the hatch and pop a couple of little AAAs in the bike to keep it going.
Now, comments like this one from Tombola4046 are just brilliant. 9.5 kilos, but you can store an Argos pencil in that massive top tube stowage. What is happening to the bike industry, he says.
Well, if you're in America, Argos is a shop where you can basically get anything, but you can't look at it before you buy it. And you have to find it in a little catalogue, use a little pencil to write down the number, and then you take it to the till, and they give you the thing after you've paid your money. If you're not happy with it, tough.
You can never give it back. I'm joking, you can give it back. We're not just picking on Canyon. I can think of Merida's brake cooling fins.
Yeah, and a number of brands have kind of down tube storage ports. Colnago has a tool storage port in the steerer tube on its C68, for example.
Basso did a multi-tool through axle. There was brake fairings on the Rondo HVRT. The Cannondale Synapse is, well, it has an integrated battery with some very interesting tech plugged in.
We've also seen things like ISO Speed, ISO Flow, all of these things from Trek. So, you know, holes in the seat tube or kind of bendy parts. I think Villiers had some sort of suspension tech. Pinarello had a little mini suspension shock on the rear of its K-Dogma K.
My favourite was the gravel suspension from Specialized Future Shock.
Yeah, still exists.
Yeah, funnily enough. There are definitely a lot of bikes that have some questionable features. The problem with these features, Simon, is that they can make a bike more expensive and heavier without, for a lot of people, kind of adding much in the way of functionality.
So, do bikes need to go back to being simpler machines, potentially with lower prices? Are you a fan of innovation? We are, but we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.
Next up is a set of stupidly light wheels from Hunt. These are 963 gram tubular wheels that Hunt is saying are going to be perfect for hill climbs.
That's right, and they've kind of been built, it seems, for the UK National Hill Climb champion Andrew Feather. Feather by name, Feather by nature, it seems. And funnily enough, this is a disc brake wheel set. Now, the last time we had Andrew Feather on the channel, he was riding a rim brake Cannondale Super 6 Evo, so I guess this means he's finally made the switch to discs.
What I want to know is, does this really spell the final nail in the coffin for rim brakes?
Yeah, it's a kind of tricky one, isn't it? Because on the one hand, you know, rim brake bikes are generally still considered to be much lighter. So I think it's fair to assume that Andrew will be riding the kind of highest spec Lab 71 Cannondale Super 6 Evo frame set. And it is a sub 1,000 gram wheel set, so it's going to be a pretty light combination. I guess for Cannondale, you know, if you're going to be sponsoring people, you want them on the bikes that you're actually selling rather than the bikes that you've discontinued a few years ago. So
You can get his bike on eBay.
So I can understand it. Even if from a kind of, you know, strict performance point of view, you might think that it isn't what you want for a hill climb where, you know, obviously when you're riding uphill, the braking performance of disc brakes doesn't really come into the equation.
No. And in terms of tech, so these are 30 millimeters deep. They're 26 millimeter wide. Obviously tubular, which means the tyres are glued on, basically.
Yeah, you've got to glue on your tyres. No clinchers or tubeless here.
Nothing like that. These will take tyres from 23 millimeters up to 28 millimeters. I presume they'll be going for the narrowest.
Yeah, you'd have thought so. So the kind of Vittoria Corsa Speed weighs around 200 grams in a size 23 millimeter. If you're going wider, maybe you'd be doing that on the rear wheel for a little bit of extra grip if you're kind of riding a wet race, but otherwise you'd assume people are choosing the lightest option.
Absolutely. UD carbon spokes here. These weigh 2.6 grams each, apparently. The hubs, very interesting. First, this is the H Ratchet UD SL alloy hub. Simon, what's going on with the rear hub?
So I think this is like a first. I don't think I've ever seen this before, and it's really, really interesting. What they've done is they've taken a standard Shimano HG cassette body and they've got rid of all the cassette splines and they've just left one sort of steel anti-gouge guard just on there to make sure the cassette doesn't slip. And then they've gone even further, they've drilled holes in it. Now,
and then they've drilled out the axle.
And then they've drilled out the axle as well. Now on the face of it, you know, we're laughing. This seems a little bit laughable, but you know, why not? Like this is a race wheel designed for hill climbs, designed for ultra lightweight. I for one am happy to see Drillium come to wheels.
Yes. I want to know, is tubular really the best option here though? Would tubeless with its lower rolling resistance not be better, or is the climbing just too extreme, too steep for rolling resistance to matter?
I think it's really interesting. This is one that I considered, and I don't know if tubeless would be better, because I do think tubeless probably would be slightly heavier. But I did wonder whether a lightweight clincher and something like a TPU in a tube might be slightly have less rolling resistance and only be slightly heavier. And the problem with tubulars is not that they are, you know, inherently bad. It's just that there aren't that many models these days. Of course, you can get the Vittoria Corsa Speed, like I've already mentioned, but beyond that, there aren't actually that many great options unless you're going to go to track tubulars. But you know, we all know what UK roads are like. I don't think it's a good idea to run track tubulars outside.
No, absolutely not. I tell you what, there is a brilliant video. If you want to see how crazy Andrew Feather's VO2 Max is, why not watch a video that we made with him back in 2019? We've put a link to that in the description below.
So let's move on to tech that we haven't seen yet in 2023. Let's start with mountain bike group sets. And I think a lot of people were expecting we might see something new from Shimano this year, such as a new XTR or Saint group set, but nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely
yeah,
nothing.
I was really hopeful for this. I mean, Saint is over 10 years old now in its current guise, and XTR is really due an upgrade. But there's some interesting stuff. There's no 12-speed XTR Di2.
That's right, and we thought that when Shimano launched its 12-speed Di2 road group set, mountain bike group sets would naturally follow.
A few weeks later or something like that, maybe a couple of months.
Yeah, we're kind of, you know, a year, maybe almost 2 years later now, and we've seen nothing. Obviously, the funny thing is that Shimano's 12-speed mountain bike group sets have just been used to win the cross-country world championships. So do we really need Di2 anyway?
Exactly. They took the short track on the men's and the women's side and the Olympic distance on the men's and the women's side as well. So they absolutely dominated. And this is an old group set. You know what? I don't think Shimano is actually paying much attention to Di2 off-road. I think their athletes might just prefer the mechanical stuff.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because obviously SRAM has released so many ETAP Axis group sets in recent years, and the clamour has been to move towards electronic group sets for everything, for gravel, for road, for mountain bike. Shimano seems to be really sticking with just Di2 for road. Is that a good thing though? Because we all know how much more electronic group sets cost. And we also see a lot of comments saying that people like cheaper mechanical group sets. So maybe that's a good thing after all. Why don't you let us know what you think in the comments below.
I have to say, Simon, as an elite mountain biker,
should I laugh that? I shouldn't laugh.
No, you should absolutely laugh, and you should also be laughing at home. I personally love my mechanical stuff for mountain biking. It's really easy to service. I find that I don't ever shift by mistake. It's very accurate, and it lasts for a long time as well.
You don't have to charge any batteries.
You don't, and I'm great at forgetting to do that. So yeah, for me, mechanical is the way forward with mountain biking. Oh God, that's a bit of a statement, isn't it? And then if we turn to the road side, SRAM, no new red. They seem to have released every other group set under the sun this year, and yet their top tier stuff remains the same.
Yeah, it's really weird. And of course, they've just won the Tour de France with SRAM Red. So again, maybe they don't need to be updating it, but you're right. We've seen Force updated recently. We've seen Rival updated recently with the XPLR stuff. We've also seen Apex Access a kind of newly launched 12-speed wireless electronic group set. So yeah, I think we were all expecting to see a new red group set this year, but we've not seen any of it. Now, of course, you can, as Jonas Fingergaard does, take the force shifters and use them on your SRAM red group set if you want that kind of updated ergonomics. So maybe SRAM doesn't need to update it.
But Simon, what would you want to see from a new red group set?
Well, it's really tricky. I think there's things that I don't necessarily love about SRAM's 12-speed group set, so things like the 10-tooth cog, for example, but I just can't see SRAM moving away from that. And of course it exists across all their other 12-speed wireless electronic group sets, so they're definitely not going to. So I don't know, I think the current red group set is a really slick group set. I really like the kind of design of the chain rings, apart from the fact that they're integrated, but again, they seem to be sticking with that, so I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon. I think the new updated hood ergonomics that we've seen on the SRAM force shifters is a nice change, but like I said, you can have that without releasing a whole new group set, so it's kind of tricky. Maybe we shouldn't just be clamoring for brands to release new stuff all the time.
But Simon, we actually do need them to release new stuff because that keeps us in a job. Anyway, if you do see something, DM me.
So we're in the post-World Championships haze and we've just seen Mathieu van der Poel and Lotte Kopecky's new kit. And it looks like while Lotte Kopecky has gone for team issue shorts, Van der Poel has gone for white shorts.
Contentious issue which has split the cycling world. It hasn't really, but we've been having a bit of an argument about it in the office. Personally, I am all for a bit of white short action. I think it can look really, really clean, and it reminds me of Française des Jeux in about 2012 when you see them out on winter training camps in full white. How pro was that? But Simon, you prefer black shorts.
I do, or not just black shorts, I kind of prefer team issue shorts. And I think the issue for me is that the World Championships jersey is a jersey. When you win the race, you get a jersey. And I don't mind a subtle nod, a tasteful nod, say on the socks. You have a cycling cap, maybe on your helmet, on your bike, that's fine. But I think when you stray into the realm of having rainbows on everything, if everything's special, nothing is special, and it doesn't highlight the jersey. Now, all the greats, Merckx, Coppi, Eno, Cavendish, they all wore black shorts.
I'd like to add Van der Breggen, Van Vleuten, Vos, sort of, once she'd come out of the early noughties phase, which plagued all of cycling.
Now, Cipollini was one of the first to do white shorts and kind of white everything with rainbows everywhere. A very unique style, as I think everyone can agree, but for me it just ends up too busy and it detracts from the jersey. What do you think though? Are you a Cipollini fan?
No, but I am a Thor Hushoff fan, and he threw me his bottle during the 2010 Tour of Britain. So he had white shorts on that day, which means forever in my mind, they are lovely.
Now, I will give it to Van der Poel. I'm sure he will look fantastic this season when he's kind of crushing cobbles in the Paris-Roubaix or the Tour of Flanders, so maybe I'll change my opinion. You can ask me next year.
Obviously, the pair of us are not going to agree anytime soon, but what do you think about white shorts? We'd love to know your opinions down below. Now, if you want to see another video, and we've been talking about lightweight components, why not go and check out some of the UCI illegal hill climb bikes that we shot last winter. And if you want to know why Simon just hates Wombai for road bikes, click on the video above.